What a wonderful way to start the day.
Oh.
Reading the glorious graphic content that John is all too often heir to. Welcome back to Disinformed After Dark. I'm Shane.
I'm John.
And I'm Michael.
Oh, man.
5% off there, bud.
Kill it with fire.
No, you mean like 100% off? I shouldn't be that chipper.
Off from birth.
Before we rolled, Michael was begging for death, and now he's really excited about life. Isn't antidepressant medicine grand?
Oh, it just kicks in right like that. It's beautiful.
Well, when you snort it.
Oh, well, I mean, that's the fastest way to the bloodstream, so yes. Well, that or, rectally, so. But anyway.
Oh, Peter Paxil over here is going to ruin this whole episode. This is going to be grand.
He did last time.
Can you get demonetized for saying rectal? I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
Except we won't, because we're not going to get monetized.
We have to be monetized first. Ah, yeah.
We have the Bill and Ted's principle of this glorious little video podcast. Is how are we ever going to be a truly triumphant band unless we have Eddie Van Halen?
Good night, sweet prince.
He's still alive.
Yeah.
I mean, their career is dead, but that's...
Tomato, potato. Anyway,
man, we're getting Michael's greatest hits already. Someone change his setting. Check the battery. Roll it a couple times. Just make sure it's still working.
We've broken him.
So, for
broken
those...
on the inside.
You will be when I'm done with you. So, for those who are uninitiated to this glorious little video cast that we have here on the Tubes of You every Friday, stop on in, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. What we typically do here is we have a weekly podcast called the Disinformed Podcast, and you should check it out. There are links below in our glorious little link tree, and as Michael will tell you,
smash that subscribe and that like. No, sorry. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, ding
for notifications.
Yes.
Indeed. And then beat yourself for being like Michael.
It's copulation time.
I do.
It is indeed copulation time. So what we do is while our files compress from having recorded our weekly episode, we like to have a little chat with one another, and we usually do so by entertaining one of Chalk. He's so white, he's Chalk. Chalk Klosterman's hypotheticals. Oh, man. Wonder Bread over here. And this week's glorious installment is going to hinge around... I'm going to give you a choice, gentlemen. I'm going to hold up two cards, and you tell me which one you want. Prison culture or underground house?
Underground dream house for 500.
All right. I was going to say prison, but okay.
You would.
Did any of us have a coin?
It is copulation time.
No, you called it first. I'll go with the dream house. I'm cool with that.
Hey, also, did you guys hit that link that I sent you before we started recording?
No.
No, I didn't.
Well, one of our dear...
What the fuck was that? Oh!
Enjoying a little bit of the unicorn horn.
You got me to... Oh,
an aphrodisiac.
One of our dear friends started an Instagram page, and...
I did click that.
It's a great one.
It's an OnlyFans account that's on Instagram.
It's at only, I think it's 3 or 4 underscores fans. And the bio says, it's just fans. DM for inquiries. And there's 3 pictures of ceiling fans on there.
It's absolutely beautiful. When I saw that, I messaged Sean and I said, you got to put a not safe for work label on that before you send it out.
So if you're watching this, we would like a feature on your page, only underscore fans. I will send you my ceiling fan.
And just like many dates that John had while he was in high school, that account got the slow clap.
Yes.
All right.
Well, it didn't fall off, so.
That's why it's slow.
Underground dream house. Imagine your dream house, whatever that house may be.
The box.
Think of all the details you would like this home to possess, including furniture. You are suddenly given the opportunity to trade wherever you live now for this hypothetical home, and your mortgage will be whatever you currently pay. The home will be in roughly the same location as your current residence. However, there is one odd caveat. This dream home is buried 2 miles underground. When you look out of the windows, all you will see is dirt. In order to enter the residence, you will have to take an elevator that travels down the 2-mile shaft at high speed. It's about a 5-minute trip. The elevator is comfortable, and there is a staff located above ground that provides 24/7 maintenance on the elevator. If something breaks or goes wrong with the elevator, you will be rescued immediately. That's reassuring. Would you accept this underground dream home?
Yeah.
I was gonna say that we might have time to do both hypotheticals today.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm usually the one that goes, head first, and it's like, I don't see any reason why I would say no to this. But
my name is Mr. Science, and it turns out if there's dirt all around you, it's gonna seep through the windows, and you're gonna get worms. So I don't know. And I'm Michael.
Why would you even need windows if it's just dirt around you? I mean, at this point, just put up, a couple lovely televisions and play whatever setting you would like to see.
All I see in my head now is the opening. Well, actually, all of like the Resident Evil original movie.
Same deal.
Where like they're all underground anyway, and they have like digital projections of what their office-facing window,
the picturesque cityscapes and all the things that you might want to see outside of your window. Yeah.
When were these hypotheticals? When did they come out? I feel like this one might be a little bit more relevant if this was like, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago.
Check my clock.
Yes.
That's right. Michael's being ageist again. Sorry, Shane. You are,
Yes, because he wrote these when he was born in the 1930s. Yes.
I was born in the 1830s. Thank you. Have a little respect for your elders.
I was being reverse ageist.
He didn't know what a wheel was till he was a man.
And he had to design it himself.
I still don't know what a wheel is, to be completely honest. But to be candid, 2010 is when these were copyrighted.
Oh, okay.
So not so far removed.
Unless I think any of us have an opposing answer, do you want to try and do the prison one too?
Man, I love that we have now 2 weeks in a row tried to put a bullet in the first question without even getting through everybody's answers, because Michael got the highbrow assault on last week's, and now John is just assailing this one. So, Michael, please continue your commentary.
So, I mean, like...
Anyway, so I was saying...
I'm going to let you finish, but I don't even remember the rest of the quote. I don't care. I mean, the only thing I was thinking that could have been like, a disadvantage was like, oh yeah, you have to take an elevator down, but it takes like an hour to get there or something like that. I'm like, okay, well, I would be okay with that. I would deal with it, but it's a 5-minute elevator. It won't break. You won't be in danger of dying. Like, you get stuck, they immediately rescue. It's like it's a slight deviance from what your normal commute to work or whatever is. It's only an extra 10 minutes a day. That's not a big deal. I mean, yeah, if you have to go out and get groceries, but like, it's an easy payoff to live in your dream home.
Furthermore, you're also talking about the great state of Arizona, where the sweltering heat at any given interval. I mean, imagine what you're saving on your cooling
my goodness,
costs.
you're right.
Yeah,
well,
sure.
2 miles down, it actually might be slightly hotter. I'm being Mr. Science guy and everything, since John had to point that out earlier. But no, like, you're right. Like, you'd be saving a lot of money in heating. Like,
I feel like my answer would have been drastically different if we would have done this in January. Because now I kind of know what it's like to exclusively just live inside of your own home, and like things that I would change. So like the value of your dream home goes from being this like romanticized thing to an actual like, how do I cut any corner I can to get things comfier than they were before? So the prospect of like a 5-minute up and down elevator ride being the limiting factor between me and my dream home seems silly at this point, because there's people that live in large cities where their elevator ride is not 5 minutes, but like it's a part of their day. It's a part of their, travel. So yeah, I would definitely do it. And I think maybe you'd find, I don't even know what would be in your dream home, Shane, Michael. Like, what is one object, like one thing?
Let's not talk about the sex dungeon, please. Don't spur Michael on.
Anything but his
Well, when
addiction.
he said dream home, the first thing I thought of was a box, and when he said furnish however you want, I pictured like a stick figure being drawn on it.
How
because
dirty.
that's just where my mind is right now. Oh, very, very.
You want a box
You know
and
what
a
they
stick
say,
figure.
Yes.
Dream big.
I didn't say how big the box was. I could fit comfortably inside.
Oh.
What? What?
I mean,
You know
obviously,
exactly what you did.
there's got to be like a multi-room recording studio, naturally, as you would expect.
Or like a super cozy home studio setup, like home office studio.
Indoor
Oh, yeah.
pool, jacuzzi. Yeah, you want
I
all
would
these
say
things.
I would say at least 2 for me and the missus, and maybe even 3. You know what? A built-in robot, because this is my dream house, right? A built-in robot that just takes care of everything and teaches everyone, teaches the child and all that other stuff. So I don't
All
have
right,
to
Rocky
watch over it.
Balboa.
Also, I'm not trying to like tell you that your dreams are wrong or incorrect, but have you not watched the Disney Channel original movie
Smart Home?
House?
A smart house?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or have you
Always
not
have
watched
a kill switch that you can immediately activate at any given point in time.
Ex Machina?
Yeah.
That's my case.
Yes. Which I think
Uh,
it's not underground. It's a gorgeous
It
laid
is-
into the woods.
A lightless compound, though. But let's talk a moment, since I assume, John, that your asking a further question as a follow-up was sort of a handoff to you were looking for the devil's advocate perspective.
Yeah, do you have one?
Yes. Let's talk about the fact that regardless of Mr. Science Man here not taking a moment to appropriately assess that regardless of how structurally sound you are being told that this thing is, you are 2 miles below the Earth, which if at any point in this glorious state that we live in, the strata of the Earth decides to shift ever so slightly, you may be completely crushed to death.
Not
The
a
only
bad
thing
way
I
to
will
go.
say is Arizona is one of the most geologically sound locations in the states. We
Oh,
are not
so you're
located.
a geographer now, are you?
That's one of the
Stenographer.
reasons why my parents decided to live here. They're like, the worst thing that we get are monsoons, which you just don't drive in a wash.
If we're talking
Then you're
about your
fine.
parents' decisions, I don't think that you are a proof that they have sound mind.
I was an
So-
accident. They acknowledged that.
Yes, continually.
They
So,
hung
I
that
just-
over my head my
Actually-
entire life.
That would be
Daily
just-
reminder I'm an accident.
Aye. It's just the sense of impending doom that someone, I'm not saying I necessarily would have it, but I don't think you could ever guarantee me that being underneath the Earth for 2 miles down, that you're never going to have any other problems. Like the only thing they have is, oh, well, the elevator can be instantly serviced. Great, but what happens when things start to collapse? Are you going to
That-
teleport me back up to the Earth? Because I could be trapped down there and die. Are you getting
You-
clean oxygen? Are you being able to get, I mean, how is your crap, granted, it could just be vented into the soil and just leached out like you're functioning down there, but there's a lot of things to consider here.
Actually, if you have this idea in mind when you're designing your dream house, you could just design it so that it can survive being 2 miles underground.
Mm. So
Okay,
NASA is going to be
thank
building my
you.
home.
Checkmate, atheists.
I was also thinking about the creepiest time that I remember, like the first and only time I've encountered perfect darkness, like true
Ooh.
absolute darkness, like
Mhm.
up in Flagstaff, the lava tubes. You can
Ooh,
go hiking there.
I love that place. I've been there myself.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, but it probably has been like 11 or 12 years since I've done that. And I remember how creepy it was. Like we hiked to like the very far point, and then we just to do it, we turned off our flashlights, and total darkness really screws with your head. So my paranoia, to piggyback off of Shane's point, is what happens when the power goes out, because that's an inevitability. Like that always, even if you think you're perfectly sound, like there's going to be times like how, like the elevator can be repaired at any point in time, but that has to be ran on electricity, no?
Mm.
So if the electricity goes out for a day, 2 days, like, are you screwed?
And also going into the worst case scenario segment here as well, for, as Michael said, build the thing like it's self-contained. Given the current climate, do you feel like you are perfectly prepared to live in absolute isolation, Michael? Are you ready for that?
I would absolutely. If I didn't have to go to work at Howie's, I would be happy.
I mean, honestly, I would as well, so that's not too terribly bothersome to me.
Yeah, I'm like.
I actually enjoy claustrophobic spaces, so I'm totally down for existing in a subterranean home. I would be a subterranean
same.
homesick alien. I would be down for it. I just, if we're throwing the shoe on the opposite foot here to try to make it seem like a more
know what you're
entertaining
saying,
conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, given the druthers, there are a lot of negatives to this perspective scenario here. It's not all just wine and roses.
I guess. If you have to, I mean, that's what I said initially at the starting point. I'm like, well, I'm just going to be that person that's like just going ahead and like, I don't see any negatives to this. Why not?
Right.
So
I appreciate that. Your
yes.
candor is always appreciated, Michael.
You don't have to lie.
I have to actually to sleep. I can't sleep standing erect. I'm not a horse.
Okay. I see what you did there.
Yes. Well, John, are you still intent? Should we burn through prison culture here just to see what we're at?
Oh, how much time were you at? I don't think it really matters how much time we're at.
Oh, gee,
you know what?
How do you guys
It's
feel?
it's copulation time.
I love that time.
Is that mountain standard?
Speaking of, so
Indeed.
I when you said that during the recording and now, I just want to be like, are you going to change it when we switch our time zones in a month and a half?
Never.
Okay, we're always going to be mountain time?
We're always mountain time around here, gentlemen.
You're going to just, I mean, considering that we're posting through YouTube, they probably don't have a specific time zone for Arizona because...
All right,
Well,
fine. So we're talking
But
about
anyway,
prison.
sorry. Yes, yeah, continue.
This is why Michael never gets to drive the car.
I usually wear a muzzle.
We will wind up in a ravine somewhere just waiting for prison culture. So, a totally innocent man is sent to prison for 25 years, all for a crime he did not commit. The DNA evidence that indisputably proves his innocence does not emerge until he has completed his full sentence. During those 25 years in prison, he kills 3 other inmates, sells drugs, is tangentially involved with the rap of another prisoner, mercilessly abuses a canine police dog, and steals food from other inmates on a regular basis.
God.
However, he was never caught doing any of these illegal acts. Upon his release from prison, he openly admits to doing all of these things. In fact, he brags about these activities to the media. Prison is a different culture, he explains. I did what I had to do to survive. You are the head of the penal system. You have just learned of this man's wrongful imprisonment and about all of the terrible things he did while in jail. Do you release him back into society, or do you attempt to charge him with the new crimes he claims to have committed, on the record, during his prison stay?
Okay. I think I gotta just right out of the gate thing here. So, 1, is the system broken? Yes. 100%. No matter if it's a hypothetical joke or not, the system is just breathtakingly clucked. Because I'm not going to be that guy that Michael is.
What?
Yeah,
I think yes, the system works. We should charge him with the fullest extent of the law.
He was
No,
pointing
I
to
think
the
we're
fact
gonna
that
get
you
it.
cursed earlier.
And I censored myself because I'm a golden god. Yeah, I think anytime someone gets away with murder and heinous crimes and then decides to brag about it, I think at that point you're allowed to be like, nah, okay, you get arrested or you get you get thrown back in. It's kind of like Shane hasn't watched the show. I don't know, Michael, have you watched Arrested Development?
Yes.
It's kind of like the approach that Michael Bluth has with his wife Lucille, where he's like having her share in his crimes, and because he thinks that double jeopardy means they can't charge a husband and wife for the same crime.
That was the first episode.
Yeah.
And he realizes that wasn't the case.
I need a new lawyer. So I don't really see a world where you get released. I think with our culture, there are going to be ways that people could attack that, of like blaming the broken system, to be like, the only reason he did it is because it was rigged this way. But I think you go in innocent, and regardless, like what you do inside still counts, you know? So I think you'd have to be tried.
I will go a step further. So instead of charging him, I will instead hire him to figure out the ways that we can reform the system. Because you said I'm head of penal whatever. I stopped listening after you said peener.
Actually, I think, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
The peener system, yeah.
Yes. Anyway.
You are the head of the peener system, yes.
Aren't I already? But anyway, I would use his bragging, his testimony. I would use him to help reform, especially because he stated that he needed to do that to survive. I would use him to try to reform the system, especially if he gets a lot of media attention for himself. Because then that's when you can use his media personality to try and push to reform or change it for the better for everyone. Why did he have to throw some sick beats? Because you said rap earlier.
Yes.
Why did he have to drop some sick beats on a person? Right? Why did he have to kill a couple of people? Well, it's because of XYZ. All right. Well, let's try and figure a way of filtering that out. Right? Like, I agree that he should in some way be forced to recompense for what he had to do in there, but I feel like just trying to charge him or lock him up almost, I wouldn't say defeats the purpose, the whole idea behind it, but I don't know, like I feel like it would just be like just reinforcing the system, like I had to do all these things to survive. Hey, you just admitted to these things, come back in.
Before we get to Shane, because Michael, this one's going to be lost on you, but this one is for Shane. The person that we're describing right now, in both my answer and yours, sounds like the dude from Sons of Anarchy that continually ends up losing body parts inside of jail to protect the club. Otto. Where it's like, except in his case, like he was living straight and narrow inside the joint, and then just ends up it's not comical, but anyway,
tragically just abused perpetually.
There was laugh tracks while he was getting pieces removed of himself.
It's almost hindsight 2020 kind of comical that he wrote the show and wrote that character to just be a piece removed every season. But anyway, Shane, yes. I've derailed.
As I'm thinking about this, and it's appropriate, particularly considering the climate of our country at the moment, we could sit and talk about this for hours and be realistically frustrated and openly defiant of the fact that, yes, there is something inherently broken in the system presently, as evidenced by the wonderfully popular Netflix series Making a Murderer. You have an individual who was falsely accused of a crime, was imprisoned for a considerable length of time, and then when he is released, ostensibly, depending upon whose narrative you believe, committed then a secondary crime, a more egregious crime than the first, and then was sent back to prison again. I think you cast aspersions on both sides. There is an inherent flaw to the system wherein people feel like they have to resort to these things to survive, but also there's an argument from the external source saying, presumably there was something about your lifestyle that contributed to people assuming you were capable of the first crime to begin with, right? Because there has to be some sort of condemnatory evidence that is non-exculpatory that got you convicted in the first place. Because if you are a standard upright citizen doing nothing, presumably you shouldn't be, shot 7 times in the back trying to get into your car.
Amen.
You would hope that in the best case scenario, you are innocent until proven guilty, as opposed to vice versa. The American court system has proven the contrary.
Yes.
All too often, you are guilty until they decide they want to let you go. The most recent season of Serial, as well, covers the court system in Cleveland. And it is a really compelling listen if you have not had an opportunity, but it is a total indictment of the American legal system. I mean, there are individuals, there's a young woman who was actually assaulted in a bar on her birthday by a gentleman who came up and like grabbed her several times, and she just lightly pushed him to say, "Get away from me, please stop touching me inappropriately on my posterior," to keep this clean for YouTube. And then another woman came down the bar and began to beat her, and they got into a physical altercation. And then here comes a police officer who attempts to separate them, and the young lady who was initially assaulted in both instances elbowed the police officer, like trying to just save herself because she was being kicked by multiple people as she was on the floor, and they pressed charges against her. They took her into custody. The gentleman that initially molested her walked free because the other individuals in the bar is like, "Nah, he's a good guy." The other lady who assaulted her also not brought into custody. So the young woman who's initially assaulted gets taken in. These things happen daily. So I think there is, obviously, you don't need to add any fuel to the fire at this point. So we've ceased to be entertaining, and we've now, border on being didactic. But it's important to point these things out, particularly right now, is just there are egregious, misuses of justice constantly that we find, and it's an affront to us as a people. Now, if I'm the head of the penal system and this gentleman has, run ragged throughout the system, yes, I think there are other individuals who need to be called to the carpet for that, not, limited to the individual who is overseeing the installation where he is at, the guards who are on, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, I kind of I will co-opt Michael's perspective on here just a little bit of saying that is someone you need to sit down and have a substantive conversation with. Maybe not deputize him, but certainly somebody who you can ask, how do we go about fixing this, and how do we change this from both sides? And at the same time, you've got to ride the line of individuals going like, well, obviously that was a latent gene in him to steal from the Daryl Davis conversation that we had, like, oh, well, he was going to commit a crime anyway, whether he was guilty of the one initially. It's just, you have to, in our system right now, there's so many varying perspectives that all contribute. It's tough, but I think he does need to be answerable for the things that he did while incarcerated.
Okay.
You can't really do anything for that, but I do think you can help use him as the catalyst to change the system, help commute his sentence by his cooperation, things like that.
You're right. I shouldn't have said higher. I should have said some sort of to pay for his crimes he has to help. But there's not really anything that you
got what you're saying.
Yes. But in that way, yes. No, there's not really a way that you can say, well, as your sentence, you have to help reform the penal system. So
you got to deal with
the head of the penal system.
He has to deal with the penal that violate him. So,
no, he was the penal that violated the.
I think I have an anecdotal that could wrap this up.
Please do. Get us out of here.
Save me.
So I had a customer walk in yesterday, and we are next to a Discount Tire, so we have a lot of people from Discount Tire while they're waiting come in for the AC. In normal conditions, sit down, have a beer or two maybe, because it's a really good idea before you get behind the wheels to get loaded.
Mm-hmm. Oh, of course.
And that's why we advertise, come have a drink while you wait for your car to be ready to drive.
Yeah, obviously.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Anyway, he comes in, he is wearing it is disturbing the longer you look at it. His face mask is obviously supposed to be Trump. It's supposed to be Trump's lower face, but making the thing with the teeth present. So when you're talking, it makes it kind of look like it's just talking through you like this the entire time. And I complimented him because at first I thought just how tight it was to his face, because he's wearing it properly. For a second I was like, is he not wearing a mask? It was a good optical illusion, really clever mask. And I was like, luckily, you're in Tempe, so you're in the little blue bubble, probably not a lot of people are gonna take issue with your mask. And he went on to tell me, mind you, he's waiting for his car, of all the problems that he's had on public transportation. Being one time where he was assaulted by a man on the light rail and then he was the one who was charged. But fortunately, there was video surveillance, like video evidence that cleared him of the charge. And I was like, well, that's good, man. I was like, now it makes sense why you have your own ride. You know, you can avoid public transportation, not get into all the altercations. And he goes, yeah, you know, like me and my wife, like we both did that whole thing, and she never had any problems. But, you know, like I have like a flamboyant personality. I attract crazy people to interact with me, and you know, that was just one time. He goes, you know, the other times that I was actually, you know, guilty of physical violence and, you know, like actually hitting people. You know, like, yeah, I actually got charged for that stuff. So he essentially goes from being this like character of like, yeah, like I was wrongfully accused, to being like, one time I was wrongfully accused, but the other 9 times I did instigate it. And video, and he even said, he was like, yeah, you know, there was video evidence of this one time when I was waiting for it and I hit this guy. I was like, why are you telling me this?
In vino veritas, I believe, is the term.
Yeah, the little neckbeard probably had it tattooed right where it's supposed to be.
Yes. Bless you.
That's esoteric.
Yes.
Anyway, I feel like somewhat that's kind of what you're describing as you're talking about the flawed system in the person. It was like a little like flip of that, but oh God, like the longer I talked to him, the less safe I felt being alone in a room with them. And I was like, all right, man, enjoy your day. I was like, hey, by the way, you can probably sit down and enjoy the beer. You know, we're like soft opening. He's like, nah, I'll take it. I'll risk it outside. I was like, whatever you do off my property is your business, my man.
Like, by the way, don't punch anybody on the way through the parking lot.
Yeah. Anyway,
well, we've managed to wade into the deep and spooky water over here. I'm not sure that we're gonna get out of this alive. This is the one time we have something we can't make funny. I mean, we can.
This is why we can't do 2 topics.
Oh, goodness.
Or talk about prison culture, apparently, on here at all. We could get really gross with it, but we're on YouTube, and we want to try to keep this at least semi-friendly. If a child should
I feel like we've treaded
this
as lightly as you can. Yeah.
Yes. So please go watch the first
Michael
few
sometimes
seasons
has
of
one
Oz.
doing gymnastics in the background.
There were 2 conversations that happened, and I have no idea what happened in either of them.
John was essentially trying to, impugn your general welfare here.
Okay.
I was saying, go watch the first few seasons of Oz if you want to encounter the joys of the prison experience, and that'll do you just as well as listening to this glorious little Michael, just let it go. So
okay. I'm like, Dr. Oz? What?
No. Just please. Me. What year is it, Michael?
1980.
Save
Marilyn
me, San Francisco.
Manson is still he's a gothic punk band. MCR just came out with a song that sounds like it's 80s.
Good Charlotte is amazing as always. And the Beatles are goth wearers at this point.
Yes, that reminds me. I do want to plug this just in case for some bizarre chance there are people that listen to the After Dark that don't listen to the actual podcast. If you do that, leave a message in the comments, I guess. Please interact with us. I don't know. But anyway, our dramatic reading of My Immortal, which was found exclusively in the podcast itself, is going to be on. Were you about to mute me?
No. I'm about to.
You were reaching toward the mouse. I swear
was getting my unicorn. Thank you.
I got all
gave
scared.
Him PTSD. He is traumatized now, Shane. You have broken this man. Feel free to mute him.
Not the hand again. No.
So, anyway, as Michael was attempting to say, on Bandcamp, you can now get the entire full cast audiobook for My Immortal as performed by us, the Disinformed podcast, and you can get it free for nothing unless you want to give us a little something, which we're not going to argue. But yes, so 87 glorious hours of us talking about My Immortal, and you can find it. And we will have a link to that, as a matter of fact, in the show notes below as well. So please go check it out. Give it a listen. It's a lot of fun. And credit to Michael. It has been his pet project for 87 years now.
This must feel like such a huge relief for you.
Now I can die happy.
Now.
I couldn't die
Right now.
before.
Yes.
I am now released and granted the sweet promise.
Sisyphus has finally made the boulder get completely up the hill.
Mm-hmm. And how?
Congrats.
Yeah, Michael, well done on coercing us into your pet project.
I mean, technically, I would say that this whole thing has been a pet project, and this one, the My Immortal, has been a slight pet project within the pet project. So,
I think it's been about a month since we've wrapped, and I feel like Shane is just finally recovering his brain.
I feel like it's been a month since we started this episode.
This will go down as probably the longest After Dark that we've ever done.
Yes, we're bordering.
But we kind of asked for it. So.
We did. By we, I mean you.
I guess it was my fault. Sometimes gods make mistakes. I mean, look at the platypus.
Indeed.
the platypus is not a mistake. It's a beautiful, just combination of so many
Your
things.
All right,
kinks
sorry,
are
God
not
makes two
things we need to
mistakes.
be.
My
Platypus
spirit
and Michael.
animal is a platypus. Okay. All right. You can call me a mistake. That's fine.
Yeah, that's right. Take him out. Get him, Dad.
All right. Well,
Should we do this?
ladies and germaphobes, thank you. I'm sorry. Sorry, Mom. Sorry, God.
God?
Hello?
Hello?
We appreciate you all being here as always. Please continue to come back. I promise it'll get better. I swear. Please don't leave us like this. I'm not ready for this kind of
promising
rejection.
for 56 episodes and we still haven't delivered.
We'll talk about Galrilla Godot at great length in the next episode. I
Well,
promise.
thank you.
Stick
Thank
around.
you. You're right. How would
But,
she function in the prison culture?
No. Bad, Michael. Bad. That's a bad Mr. Seaman.
I'm not sure anybody else would make it out alive. Well, all right. I think that is going to wrap up this glorious quesadilla of rage for Disinformed After Dark. I am Kenton Eldorado.
I am Timothy Lone Cactus.
I am Robert Greer, also known as Peter Greer, also known as Peter Seaman, just because you guys would correct me otherwise.
I think Peter Seaman
you.
makes a much better point name. I'm just going to throw that out there. You wanted something that sounded a little more sizzly as opposed to steak.
You're right. You're right.
So Peter
But-
Seaman coming soon to a theater near you.
Hail Stan.
Hail Stan. By the way, do you know what they're going to say at the start of that film? And at the end of our episode? It's copulation time.